Yes, ladies and gents, welcome back to another edition of the Deep Dive. I'm the host of the Deep Dive, Mashal St. Patrick Hewitt, also the host of From Bromley with Love. You've seen me on YouTube writing some stuff on FromBromleyWithLove.news. And as ever, I am joined by the Deep Dive panel to your left, right, or whatever, depending on what screen you're watching it on. To my right, but I think it might be your left, is Colin Head. You should know Colin by now. Bromley historian extraordinaire. Colin, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you, mate. Yeah.
Great stuff. And beneath me is Peter Etherington, the copy editor, copywriter extraordinaire for From Bromley with Love. Pete, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Happy New Year, everyone.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, Happy New Year. You see, if we did this weekly, I'd remember this stuff. But as ever, people, 2 months down the line, there is no rhyme or reason to this, people. All that happened, I'll give you a bit behind the scenes of as to how this happened. About 3 hours ago, I text Pete and went, "From Bromley with Love? ? Deep dive? ? And that's how these episodes come together. Pete gave me a time, and then I went to Colin and said, "Deep dive?" And then here we are. We managed to collate it. If Bromley had been playing today, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But we have a free afternoon due to the postponement of Bromley and Oldham, which allows us to record this. And gents, since the last time we met, I've actually planned this one because I've actually got all the prompts ready. Since the last time we met on an episode, so this is episode 6, Bromley have played 8 league games. And I'll just quickly remind our viewers those 8 league games since we last recorded a show. So Bromley 2, Salford City 0. Walsall 3, Bromley 1. Bromley 3, Crawley Town 1. Accrington Stanley 0, Bromley 1. Bromley 2, Grimsby Town 0. Bristol Rovers 2, Bromley 3, Crawley 1. Bromley 3, Bromley 2, Newport 1. 7 wins from 8, gentlemen. If we go a bit further back to when we last recorded, it's 10 wins from 11. But based on the gap between us recording things, 21 points from a possible 24. The informed team, I think, in the whole football pyramid, unless I'm mistaken, but certainly in League 2. And it has propelled Bromley to first place in League 2, 2 points above second place Swindon, 5 points above third place Walsall. MK Dons and Chesterfield just drew, which is another great result for Bromley, as teams tend to just take points off each other in this league. Where do you want to start, Cole? Because when we last recorded, Bromley were 5th and in a good run of form. They're now 1st, and we have a target on our backs. I'm trying to speak as if this is normal behaviour, but where do you want to start?
It's uncharted territory as ever with Bromley. That's what we keep doing, isn't it? We're halfway through the season. We're top. We had a conversation, funny enough, with a couple of people after the Newport game, and we were saying it would almost be disappointing if you only find yourselves in the playoff, which is crazy because, like you said, the last time we recorded this, playoffs seemed like a really good target for us, and now you would think, oh, actually, we would have fallen off a little bit if we only make the playoffs. Now it's a crazy position to be in, but the team have earned it.
Yeah, and I like that phrase you said at the end here. Like there's that kind of like corny phrase, right, where people say the league table doesn't lie, right? And that's true. Like I say, it's corny. It's a true phrase, but it feels more true to say it for Bromley here. And I guess what I mean is, Bromley are not there by luck. Mm-hmm. They aren't there. I mean, people look at the fact that of those 8 results I just told you, 2 of them were against Crawley, who were pretty hapless. One was against Bristol Rovers, another one against Newport County. But the fact is, you still have to beat these teams. You still have to go collect the points. And I think what we're seeing, Pete, is the definition of when a team's momentum is so strong that even when they're not at their best, they're still too good for the opposition. Newport felt a bit like that when I was watching that from Sweden on a few days ago. Like, I didn't think we were vintage, but you never felt that Newport would win. What do you reckon, Pete?
Yeah, well, I said that in my review of the game, filling in for you. As soon last season and seasons past, Bromley have conceded that late goal. You've always had that sense of, you know what's coming next. Not always, but you sense it. This time I had absolutely no worries, and the players, they didn't have any worries either. It was just they were frustrated themselves for letting their levels drop, taking their off the ball just for a fraction of a second. Idris at the back post switched off, and they got punished. And they, rather than being oh my goodness, we know what's coming next, they were just annoyed at each other for little individual sort of, you didn't close him down, you did that, let's reset, go again, we can do better than that. And that's exactly the mantra you need. You need to set yourselves those kind of levels if you want to be at that in the real conversation. And it's 6 wins in a row. You were reading out the results there. Now Bromley haven't blown any of those teams away, but they also haven't looked, you could argue that some of those results were a bit tight, but they have become the masters of fine margins, finding those fine margins and tipping it to their advantage. And why not? If they can keep that momentum, the sky's the limit.
Well, you say keep that momentum. Let me move on. We have to discuss it. We have to. And initially, when I was like prompting all the discussions for this episode, and I was like, okay, what are the key points that we all need to hit on? This was actually the first thing I wrote down. I put, can Bromley get automatic promotion? We are just over halfway through the season. 24 games played. Bromley have 48 points. Right. I've just written an article which Pete's going to have a look at before I post, probably at some point today. And we were just talking before I press record, guys, that automatic promotion in League Two, if you extrapolate the averages over the last 9 completed season, the COVID season notwithstanding, if you extrapolate the averages, generally speaking, 79 points is what you need. Usually 80 to be sure, probably, but 79 to get into the playoffs. To get into the top 3. Because this season there's no runaway teams. Like last season, we kind of knew, right? It was pretty clear early doors. Doncaster are good. Bradford are good. Like it became clear as the season went on, those are the teams that are Walsall obviously were way at the top for a long time this season. By this point last season, we kind of already knew who the top 4 or 5 teams were, if that makes sense. This season, I mean, unless you want to say that Bromley are the top team, but this season, it is not clear who the top teams are. And when you don't have, and in fact, actually, funny enough, I was speaking to a Swindon friend of mine, Swindon, who also have a counter press platform, and the Moonraker is theirs. And I was speaking to a Swindon friend of mine because we're now having an in-joke about who's going to actually end higher, Swindon or Bromley. But I'm just going to read to you something that he sent me after Bromley's latest win. Here we go. Let me find. Here we go. He said, this isn't Sam, by the way. If Sam watches this and says, Mash, what you did. This isn't Sam. But he said, this is a terrible division. And I said, I won't tell you what I said. But then he said, in response, I'm not trying to take anything away from what Bromley have achieved. But without the usual big competitors in League Two, like Northampton, Mansfield, Bradford, Donny, Wimbledon, Exeter, Plymouth, it's just been the dross lot left behind. And he said, usually you have a big 2 or 3 that everybody knows before the season starts, they're going to be somewhere up there. And he says with more than half of them, if not most of them gone, this division is open for anybody who can show any level of consistency. And then he said, obviously Bromley have surprised everyone, but you're there on merit because you're the only team showing a genuine level of consistency. This is why I've got the question, can Bromley get automatic promotion? I guess, Pete, I'll start with you. It feels too far out to ask the question, but at the same time, it feels like we have to realistically consider the proposition because we're over halfway through the season. What's your take on
it? Yeah, I mean, there are cautionary tales out there, Walsall last season being one of them, because, it was almost the conversation at one point was, right, well, who's going to come second then? And so there are cautionary tales out there for clubs who take their eye off the ball or, lose their momentum. But I've seen no reason this season that Bromley should fear anyone. There's not been Cambridge aside, and the Walsall game. I think we probably let themselves down a little bit, but it was tighter than the scoreline suggested. I think there's no team they need to fear, and as long as that's the case, as long as they can keep that team spirit, keep everyone pulling in the same direction, and everyone feels like they've bought into what's Andy Woodman's idea for how the squad will be and how everyone's part they will play. If they can keep that momentum and not let little setbacks, they're going to lose a game here and there. It's going to happen, but when that happens, it's how do you react to it? So that, I think that's going to be the key, is when the setbacks come, how do they react to them?
Cole.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've shown so far this season, whenever we've lost the game, we've always backed it up by winning the next one or getting a draw. We rarely lose a couple in a row. I think, in answer to the question, can we get automatic promotion? Absolutely, yes. As long as everybody stays fit. We've got strength in depth now. We've almost got a replacement in every position that will do a job. The one exception to that is probably Mitchell Pinnock. But that might be a conversation later on. But that's the one where I would worry about. But can we? Yeah, absolutely. And we can take this opportunity. As the guy from Swindon said, it's not the strongest League Two this year. So we've got to take this opportunity. It's exactly what we did when we won the National League playoffs. And it's definitely what we did when we won National League South. We looked at the opposition that year. We thought, this is the year that you go for it. And we took the chance. And the same with promotion from the National League into the Football League. We did it by the playoffs, but we took our chance. We looked at the teams around us and said, this is the year to do it. And that's probably what this season is now. Like, as you say, the bigger team probably all went up last year. The ones down here that you would see as being bigger aren't quite maybe as ready as they should be. So this is our opportunity and we've got to take it.
Assuming let's work with that metric of 72 points for the playoffs, 79 for automatic promotion. Let's just work with that metric for now. What that translates as is Bromley would need 8 wins from their remaining 22 games to make the playoffs. Let's deal with that first. I don't even think that's in doubt. I think we're definitely in the playoffs. Pete, is that too early to make that assumption?
I don't see anything changing in terms of Bromley's outlook. Look, I mean, we could talk about injuries, Cheek, Pinnock, players like that. They're going to be key to it. So keeping them fit, and so there's always that wild card of what if things, if the tide turns and they find themselves having to really think on their feet, that could throw a spanner into the works. But I don't see, as it is, I don't see anything changing. I don't see any reason why Bromley are suddenly going to start playing badly or, not grinding out the results they've been grinding out. So I think playoffs should be, as it stands, playoffs should be a minimum expectation. And it feels difficult to say, they're safe home and dry already, because they're not. But it feels like at this stage, given where Bromley are at the kind of teams they're coming up against, it's a minimum for me.
Yeah, do you know what? I was just looking at the next set of games for Bromley, right? So Tranmere away on Saturday, next Saturday, then Chesterfield away the following Saturday, Swindon at home, Crewe at home, Gillingham away, Fleetwood away. So of the next 6 games, 4 of them are away from home, and obviously away, harder proposition, etc. But here's the thing, right? At the start of the season, if you'd told me, right, that's Bromley's stretch of games, those 6 games, I'd be like, might be hard there. 4 away games out of 6, and Swindon come to us, and Gillingham away, and Chesterfield away. Obviously, our lives feel like they're inextricably linked to Chesterfield over the last 3 to 4 seasons, right? But kind of coming off the back of Pete's point there, I look at those fixtures. Don't get me wrong, they're not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't attach any fear to them. Like, I kind of look at them and go, okay, yeah, Bromley could come unstuck. But I also look at them and go, yeah, and Bromley could just win those games. Like, I don't look at them and go, Bromley might drop points there. Like, they've reached such a point now where I don't look at any team in this league and think, Bromley, they might drop some. And that doesn't mean I'm saying they're going to win, but I guess, I don't know if I'm articulating it properly. I just don't look at those games and go into them with any kind of fear or trepidation.
Yeah, the away games, they're all tough, and you're all playing tough teams. But you think if we keep on performing at the level we're performing at the moment, you wouldn't be surprised if we got at least a point from all the away games, right, and won the home games. And that's going to be enough, right? If we just keep doing that, that'll be enough.
So then here's the question. Let's move it on. Already, some teams in and around Bromley have started strengthening. I see Swindon have already picked up 2. Speaking to my Swindon colleagues, they've got another one that they're planning to announce early next week. Chesterfield have stolen Newport's best loan player, added him today. Trying to think who else have. A few like Crawley, who admittedly are nothing to do with us, but they've added 3. So I guess what I'm saying is some teams have already, clearly they've been chatting over the last month, and immediately as soon as the window opened, went, there's 1, there's 2, here's the next one, here's the next one coming through the door. And I think it would be naive of Bromley fans to not think that the teams in and around us with significantly better budgets, I hasten to add, we just go through League 2. It is not an exaggeration to say Swindon, like if we look at all the teams immediately below Bromley, Swindon, Walsall, Salford, MK Dons, Cambridge, Chesterfield, all of them have a significantly better budget than Bromley have to work with. So all of them will naturally add players. I'm expecting Bromley to add some players. My feeling is that they'll add 1 on loan and possibly get 1 permanent, right? Yeah. Just because I think even if you take the attitude that, but you want to kind of keep the dressing room harmony, you want to stick with what's got us here so far, I think it would be foolish if you didn't strengthen if somebody became available, right? Yeah. I think it would be foolish to just assume that these players can just keep on going. And although we've got, what does Andy call it? Starters and finishers, right? That's the phrase that he likes to use. I still think it would be foolish to make an assumption that, right, we should just stick with this squad for the whole season and you don't need to add any. We've already seen, it's not been officially announced yet, but Jemiah Muller has gone back to Crystal Palace. So we know that he's gone, right? Besart Topoloj cancelled his, Bromley recalled him, from Hartlepool, and they've mutually agreed for him to go. So his contract's gone, right? So Bez, not that he was ever going to be part of the squad, but he's gone, right? I'm anticipating a couple more to maybe go out on loan. Possibly, I'm looking at someone like Marcus Dananga, who's not been involved now for about a month, I think. I'm expecting him to possibly leave permanently, right? Let's start with you, Cole. Assuming Bromley brings some players in.
Yeah.
What position, and let's stick with just 2. Let's assume it's only 2 players they bring in. What positions do you think Bromley should focus their recruitment on?
Yeah, it's a good question. I agree with you. I think 2 would be maximum I would bring in. You don't want to disrupt too much. A little bit of strength in depth, absolutely, but you don't want to, and we don't want to bring someone in that we've got to change our style of play for either. We want it, so they've got to fit into what we do. Because if you're joining Bromley now, it's a privileged position to come and join the team that's top of the league, right? I guess if Dananga does go out and Jemiah's gone back to Palace, then I guess a striker would be someone to look at, but they've got to be understanding that they're going to be third in line, and we play one up front.
And also, just jumping in, third in line sometimes means you're not even getting on the bench. It doesn't mean third in line, you're on the bench. It could mean some days you're not even in the match day squad. So, and this is the thing, sorry, I'll come at you, Cole. This is the other thing that fans have to consider. where it's not about Bromley getting in players that are going to be starters. You're trying to convince a player to join the project to be a squad player, which might not even guarantee you minutes. At the moment, we got players like Ben Thompson who ain't even getting more than 10, 15 minutes a week, right? So how many players who would improve our squad would be willing to come to potentially only get 10, 15 minutes a week and sometimes not even play? Back to you, Cole.
Yeah, and then the other position, I think the midfield sound like you're saying that you got Thompson not even getting starting, and he would start in most teams in this league, you would think. I guess the other thing is a sort of right-sided defender who can play maybe right back and centre back, assuming that Cole Jenkinson, who knows? I mean, if he's fit, that's a great option to have. But that's probably, I mean, Marcus Eiffel's done amazingly well. He's learning a new position and he's doing really well. There was a thing that he did against Newport where he picked the ball up at right back and we were under pressure and he took the ball 70 yards up the pitch and all of a sudden all the pressure was off and we were attacking. And it's like, so we can't I would have made him near man of the match, but in the Newport game. But yeah, probably a right-sided centre-back, right-back, just because, you know, we've got to be, Byron's probably not going to play that much and we need cover at the back. Like if we lost one of our centre-backs for a long period, that would, you know, probably weaken us a little bit too much.
Pete, so interesting. So Cole's gone for right-sided centre-back / possible fullback. And actually, I hadn't thought of it like that, Cole, because I always forget. Because it shows how much Eiffel has become a right back that I've forgotten that Eiffel can play right wing. Because I was about to say to you, some fans have messaged me and said we should get cover at right wing. Because at the moment, Corey Whiteley's kind of playing there, right? Corey is not he's doing a very good job there, naturally, but he's not a natural right winger to me. Really, Corey's position is where Ben Crowhouse is playing. But Crowhouse plays that role better behind Michael Cheek. Like if you roll reverse and put Crowhouse out right, I'm not sure that works as well, for example, right? So some fans have messaged me and said, Mash, we need a right winger. But Nathan Paul Laverly's just been recalled from Hampton and Richmond. So I'm wondering, is he going to start possibly featuring not off the bench, but as an option from the bench, potentially in that position? So Pete, as I come to you, your views on right wing, and also Cole, the only other position that I think I should raise. If Ashley Charles got injured, what would we do? And
that was going to be where I was going to start.
Yeah, because there's been a few games in the last month where I'm like, I really see why Ashley is the ultimate key to all of this, right?
What game was it that he didn't start, and then it became blindingly obvious?
Was that Bristol? No, it wasn't Bristol. It was, what game was that?
Yeah, but I just remember thinking, oh, that's what's missing.
It might have been Crawley at home, you know.
Yeah, I think it was in the first half. It really showed.
Yeah, Crawley at home. Yeah, where we were getting pulled all over the place.
Yeah, first half. I was like, oh my word! Like now I get it. Yes.
In terms of in the current squad, probably is it Alex Stepien Uwemene? He's probably the point. In terms of just but he's a different type of player. I think, you know, from what I know, he's a mud and guts, smash, you know, kick you up in the air, go into every challenge like it's his last kind of player. Which actually Charles isn't necessarily. I mean, he's a good tackler, but I think he's perhaps got a bit more. He's got as we see every week, that sort of just that nous for knowing when to move the ball on, when to play it simple, when to do something a little bit more tricky, which a player of Stepien Uwemene's age probably is not going to have that same sort of. Even if he's got the techers to play that way, it's making those decisions, which you don't necessarily have when you're a younger player. Maybe he does. I mean, Andy Woodman sees him week in, week out. But if I'm looking at that, really, I would send Stepien Uwemene out on loan and bring in
I was thinking that. Yeah.
Someone to back up Charles and someone who plays a similar way. Now, you're still doing the same thing. You're still asking someone to come in and say, look, Charles is our number one. but anything happens, you're stepping up. Now, not every player is going to want to do that. So you're either the one thing that Bromley have in their one of the things Bromley have in their favour is that they're a football league club, so they can reach down into the National League South, and have that selling point of, do you want to be a football league player? Come and play for us. You like football league on your CV, but they've got to be good enough, and that's knowing who is and who isn't is the, that's the difficult bit. I mean, if we were talking about wingers, if I'm bringing someone in from the National League, it'll be Abdul Malik from Boreham Wood. He's an absolute, fantastic player. He will be on Bromley's radar because he was at Millwall for so long. But the question is, do they think he's at that level? Is he the right kind of player? Or they may have written him off ages ago and said, no, that's his ceiling. National League's his ceiling.
So I know there's lots of football league clubs looking at him, but do you know what the issue would be there for someone like him? I actually don't think Bromley can afford him.
No,
it's the reality of the situation.
Yeah. Obviously, I have to speak to Robin and see what's doable, financial fair play wise. But because that's the other thing we have to bear in mind is financial fair play. You can't just go chucking money that you don't have or can't put through the books properly. Not unless you've got a particularly creative accountant. So you have to do things the right way. It probably does have to be loans, and if it is a player you're bringing in, you'll be taking the chance on just chucking a small amount of money away to bring someone in that you think can do it. And I think I get the feeling that Bromley have done that in the past with players. They've just sort of taken a chance on a small amount of money, or relatively compared to what other clubs are spending, taking a chance on someone. And I think they did that with Kabamba last season. Probably not necessarily a small amount of money if it's coming out of your pocket, but if compared to what other clubs were spending, Bromley were dipping down into then the National League and taking a guy who was in his 30s, but they were buying into the fact that he had unfinished business in football league, and he's done really well this season. Fantastic. He's got one of the best scoring ratios in the league, if not the best. So. Yeah.
I think let's have this right as well. When Andy historically has tried, first and foremost, you have to remind fans, because National League transfer rules are different to the Football League for a start, right? So National League, you can improve up until to a longer point of the season. I think it's March when it closes in the National League, but you can strengthen at any particular point up till then. But also, if you follow how Andy has generally moved in the transfer market, he's not getting in somebody. Andy prefers an experienced pro, right? If it's permanent, I think he'll go for an experienced pro, right? Who has been there, done that, and is more likely to understand possibly, this is the role I'm specific. Like when we brought in Miles Weston, this is the specific role I am bringing you in for. You're not starting every week, but this is what I'm specifically bringing you in for, right? Now, that doesn't mean Andy doesn't like a young loanee. We've seen loads of them over the season. But if you think back to when Idris Odeteo came, remember he came, he wasn't even at the start of the season, right?
No.
And when he came, he didn't even get into the team for a while. Once he then supplanted Bez, he took over, right? Marcus Eiffel, people forget, came at the back end of the window last season. Didn't even really play. Didn't play for half a season. Came on against Wimbledon, nearly gassed out from running around for 20 minutes, and they had to build him up over the pre-season to get him ready. So I don't see Andy bringing in I don't see Bromley, or let me say Bromley, Robin has to think about this as well. I don't see them bringing in a guy who fits the profile of 25 to 28 in their prime for a significant amount of money, because that's not generally speaking what we do. And if we do it, it's not until the summer that we start to do things like that. So I see Andy, if he's doing it, going for some loanees who are talented, but it's a risk, because there's always a risk with a loanee, but also it's let me take the word risk out. It's a risk in so much as they may not be any good, but it's actually low risk in that as long as the team from the Premier League, if it's a Premier League team, isn't demanding you play them, then actually you're not losing anything, right? But if fans are expecting a difference maker to come, it's going to be an experienced pro. and somebody who understands what they're specifically being brought into in for. I don't know where you two land on that. Maybe I may be overthinking it, but I just don't. I don't see anything else happening. What do you reckon, Pete? Or Cole, whichever one.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I agree. I think when he brought in Brookley and Marcus Ifill last January, they were projects for the future, if you like, and they've come into fruition now, very much with Marcus, and I think Brooklyn will definitely do the same. And even with Nicky Kabamba, it was right towards the end of last season that he got into the way that we were playing. It was unfortunate that we switched to one up front pretty much almost as soon as he'd signed for us. But, you know, he's come to fruition. So we'll probably bring in someone young with an eye for next year. But, yeah, it'll be one on loan and then it's got to be an experienced pro that gives you something almost off the field as well as on it. Somebody's maybe done it before.
Yeah, good point.
Done it before would be my instinct, just because I don't think last year they could bring players in as a project. This year, if you're bringing someone in as a project, they've got to be ready for League One next season, theoretically. Yeah. If you're true about what you're aiming at, then they've got to be ready for League One. And that's a bigger project than I feel and Ilunga, who were, you know, ready for, you know, stepping up to League Two. But, you know, that was where they were. They were National League-ish players that needed that sort of football league experience. Obviously, coming from higher up the food chain, coming from Premier League academies, clearly had skill and ability, but it's just getting them up to that sort of physical and the understanding of the game.
So what you want? Sorry, Pete. What you want then, almost the perfect scenario is like an experienced pro at championship level who's probably now a fringe player. Do you get where I'm coming from? But obviously wages would have to match, but you almost want someone like that.
I think it'd be someone who would be thinking about League One next season anyway, thinking, you know, do I want to be part of a project? And, you know, how do I see myself, you know, the next few years of my career going? And if you're in the championship and you are on the fringes and you are thinking, you know, where am I going to go that I'm actually going to get football? Well, the only problem is I don't think Bromley can guarantee that. So if you're looking for a club where you can be guaranteed football, I think that's Bromley because the squad's so tight. But you would be taking a chance. You and your agent would be taking a gamble on, look, you might not get in the team straight away, but, you know, something could happen and you can force your way in. But in terms of, you know, if you're going to strengthen with a centre-back, it depends where the club thinks Sam German is in his trajectory, because and Carl Jenkinson, you know, is because he can play in that sort of centre-back role. So it depends where they think they are. Is Sam German ready to stand up, you know, step up to the Football League level? And it's the same. I mean, Nathan Paul Lavallee, I think he went on loan to a basket case club, and you know that's why the loans come to the end. I think they'll send him back out again.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, in that regard, if Umalu's going, it's a shame. I thought he had a lot of potential. But then, yeah, if he goes, then Anga goes. You do have to get a striker. There's just no two ways. But otherwise, you've only got Sol Kader at Cray Wanderers, and you know that would be. I don't think it would be fair to him to take him away from Cray Wanderers at this point in time, because I think he needs to be there to get his mojo back. And it would be fair to Cray, and so I think you'd have to bring in another striker on loan, probably, and it would probably be another club that doesn't mind if they don't play. They just want them to go out and get a bit of Football League nous and experience. So they're out there, those players.
Yeah. One thing you can guarantee is that Andy will be on the phone for the whole of January.
Yeah.
And what I would remind Bromley fans as well, Andy is often at pains to point this out. Bromley, even with us being top of League Two, that may make us go up the pecking order a tiny bit, But at the end of the day, we're still not people's first choice. And there will still be a bit of snobbishness about from some players. I'm not playing in League Two because I believe myself to be above that level. And there may even still be a bit of element of who the hell are they're top of League Two, but who are they? In the grand scheme of things. So I suspect that if and when Bromley make their moves, it's not being announced till much later in January. Whereas some clubs have been like, here we go, 1, 2, 3, here that immediately here's the signings. I think Bromley will take their time. And it will only quicken up if we went on a run of defeats, where they'll be like, oh, we need to bring someone through the door and we need to speed this up a bit. But if we maintain relatively good form, and defeats will eventually come, but if we maintain relatively good form, I think they'll take their time in trying to nab the right person rather than rush anything. Let's move it on. 2 more points, Pete and Cole. I want to put you two both on the spot.
Okay.
Your top 3 players of the half season, and I'll tell you what made me write this one. Tony Fletcher, I think he put something in that Bromley Facebook group a few days ago. I think it was Tony. And Tony, if you're watching this, I'm sorry if it wasn't you. Somebody, this way it was Tony. Put that Idris Odeteo was possibly his player of the season, right? And that just got me thinking about, okay, and I'm not saying I disagree, but it just got me thinking about, okay, if we all had to rank our top 3 players thus far halfway through the season, because the obvious thing to go is, well, Mitchell Pinnock, right? But you have these players like Idris and Ashley Charles who've just been doing their job. So I see how this isn't as, and not to mention Marcus Eiffel, who's what am I trying to say here? Who has essentially improved at an exponential rate across the season, right? So it got me thinking about, so who are the MVPs halfway through the season? It's not as when you're a team that's taken 21 points from your last 24 and 30 from your last 33. I mean, the whole team, right? Omar Shomi's got 6 goals. Deji basically week in, week out, immense, all right? So how do you even pick 3? But Cole, you can go on the spot first.
Thank you.
Who's your 3 MVPs for the season and in order? First down to third.
Okay, first, I am going to go for the obvious. It's Mitchell Pinnock because, you know, I'm lucky enough to watch the games from the East Terrace. I get to see him going forward down the left when we're attacking. His delivery is ridiculous. And his long throws and it's just the general contribution. So he would be that, like I said to you earlier, he'd be the one where if he got injured, I think, oh God. So yeah. And then Omar, because I think he's proven a lot of doubters wrong. The people that were questioning him defensively, I think he's been great and he's added a lot of goals to his game. He's a threat. I think he's done really, really well. And then, yeah, Idris, I think he's kind of learning to play at left back now, where we were never really sure. Is he a left back? Is he a centre back? Is he left sided or free? I think as an out and out left back, I think he's been outstanding. Yeah, so they're my 3. There you go.
Pete, I'm going to go before you. I'll let you go last because
that's all right. I've drawn up categories and everything. It's going to be great.
Okay. So Cole's very similar to mine, to be fair. I think it has to be Pinnock, just because I have to rate it based on, if you took this player out of the team, how much would things fundamentally change, right? If you took, I'll just give some players. If you took Cheek out, Kabamba can come in. Whether you agree that's a like for like or not, the point is Kabamba's got 9 goals. Kabamba can come in, right? If you took any of the centre-backs out, Carl Cameron comes in, and Webster if he has to. If you took Idris out, admittedly, there's no actual left back, but you'd probably put Brooklyn Ilunga there, or you'd move Carl Cameron over to be a left back, or you'd change the shape to 3 centre backs and play Ilunga as a left wing back or Pinnock as left wing back. The only player this season that I think we couldn't replace as a genuine, the only player I think we couldn't replace and still just expect to just win like we're winning is probably Pinnock.
Yeah.
So I've got Pinnock as one, and also just because every single game, you know that at least on a minimum of 3 to 4 occasions in a match, and that's possibly underselling it, he is going to put the ball in an area that is begging to be attacked. Imagine playing up front to that, or being an on-rushing midfielder and knowing if this guy gets the ball, he's putting something like Cheek and all the others literally know I can gamble that it's going to go there because he's bound to hit that particular spot, right? You don't even have to track the ball. You just have to gamble on the run, if that makes sense, right? So I think Pinnock's number one for me. I actually have Omar at 2 as well, just because of goals from centre back. And actually, defensively, he's been much better than his first time round as well. And also, Cole, I've included what you've included, which is I still haven't forgotten that when he came back, people were criticising the move, saying, what has Andy brought him back for? I wasn't one of them, I hasten to add. I was one of the ones who said I get exactly why he's brought him back. But if you have a centre-back, Omar will score double figures this season. If you have a centre-back that can score double figures, I mean, come on. Like, do you know what I mean? So I've got Omar at 2. And then I've got Charles at 3. Just because I think there's, similar to the Pinnock point, I'm not sure who would replace him if he was there, if he wasn't there, sorry. And I wonder how much control we would have as a team if he wasn't in the midfield. So, and also I think it's harder to put Charles at 3 just because he's not flashy, so he just goes under the radar. So I've got Charles at 3, and I just want to say before I go to Pete, how interesting is it? But Pete could just be about to blow it out the water. How interesting is it that Cheek's got 12 goals and 3 assists? We haven't even meant he should actually be in the list. The guy's got 15 goal contributions.
Yeah.
And I'm not even put him in the top 3. And that almost proves my point about Cheek this season, that he's actually doing his job. And he's not even in my top 3. But Pete might have him. Over to you, Pete.
No, I haven't got him. And I was thinking exactly the same thing as you. It's like, how are we, ranking these players and not thinking about Cheek? Of course, he should be in it. And, he's sort of on my short list that I was drawing down. But I decided to do it in categories to break it down. So I've got Starman, Most Improved, and Under the Radar. So Starman, Pinnock. And the thing that gets me is he never gets smashed up in the air, never gets tackled hard. But in most sides, when they know there's a danger man, particularly a winger, the managers will send them out to nobble him. They will send, to say, look, when he's got the ball, go in hard. They do go in hard, but he never gets knocked down. He just sidesteps, knocks the ball on. Different level. I mean, that's in addition to his delivery and just his throw-ins as well. So without him, Bromley aren't where they are this season. And you could say the same of Cheek. You could say the same of Swamney. But I mean, he's just the standout. So he gets Starman. Most Improved, I feel, just in terms of what the conversation at the start of the season is. Oh my God, Jenkinson's injured. We don't have a right back. That's the end of it. Mid-table will do. Just survive. And yet, I get the feeling that he is now considered to be a right back. There's no Marcus Eiffel. Oh yeah, he's a winger who but first and foremost, no, he's a right back first and foremost, and can play on the wing if needed. And I think almost his defensive ability is now tops his attacking ability. I think if anything, he needs to get back, and I think he has been improving that side of his game in recent weeks. So therefore, he's my Most Improved. And my final category is Under the Radar, and this is a toss-up between Charles and Idris. And the thing that struck me just a second ago is that Bromley don't have a direct replacement for either of those players. They don't have someone who could just slot straight back in, which is a worry. So maybe that's something they'll be looking at in the window. But if I had to pick one over the other, just for pure consistency, it would be Charles. And Idris, fantastic, but little lapses every now and then. but Charles just seems to be so consistent that he's under the radar. He'd be my third pick.
Great stuff. People, get in the comments below. Let us know who are your top three. Who's your MVPs for the season? Top three in order. You can also reach out to Cole and Pete on Twitter. I'll put their links in the descriptor below. And from Bromley with Love, we are on X, Twitter as well. It's on the ticker tape below at Bromley with Love. Last thing, gents, then we'll wrap this up. So, again, like I say, I was in Göteborg on Thursday, so wasn't at the game for the Newport win, but was watching on the international feed. Thank you to Matt and Daniel for the good work they do on comms when people can't get to particular games. And I noticed that Bromley announced that the gate was 4,946. So I've put Bromley touch 5,000 at home. I actually have no idea what Bromley's capacity is right now. I'm assuming it's just a touch over $5,000. The East stand looked absolutely rammed, right? Which is, it looked basically what the whole point of building it was intended to do, right? But because I wasn't in the ground, I had no sense of the atmosphere. I could look at it and go, wow, flipping hell, look at that. But I had no sense of the atmosphere that was going on in the ground itself. Cole, one for the Bromley historians here. I'm not sure how many times I've watched a Bromley match where I can say the ground looks absolutely rammo and you can see the potential of the football club. If I think of some games straight off the top of my head, that Dartford FA Cup game when we lost 4-3, I am convinced there was 5,000 plus in the ground that day because I couldn't. That was one of them games where you take a spot and you can't move for the rest of the game. Like you're wherever you are, like a gig, wherever you are, that's it now. You're there for 90 minutes. So that there's that Dartford game is etched in my memory. I suspect, although this might be my mind playing tricks on me, I feel like that AFC Wimbledon semi-final game was much bigger than the club announced. The club announced it to me in the Ryman semi-final playoff game. But I suspect it's only Dartford that I can truly, and maybe
the Wrexham game all those years ago.
Yeah. What, the first one when we were in the National League?
When they took the entire North Terrace.
But you two were there yesterday. Talk me through it and what you think it potentially shows about the potential of Bromley as a club. I can't remember who I was talking to, if it was you, Pete, or someone else. I think Bromley should try. I think Robin's looking at it, but that car park end, if you can have that East stand like that, they should smash down the car park end and do the exact same thing. Obviously, I don't know where the money's coming from, but what did you think about seeing $5,000 in the stadium?
Yeah, I'll go first because my season ticket is on the East Terrace. It's really, really good there. That obviously you have to factor in the fact that nothing underneath is ready. So there is, you'll have to queue forever if you need a drink, and we have festival toilets, so you take your risk. You take the risk. But the actual stand itself is fantastic. The view is great. The noise is good. The roof has made such a difference, I think, to the whole ground. But it certainly made a difference to the atmosphere on the East Terrace. It felt like someone said to me, funny enough, this feels like the Wrexham game. There were so many people there, and people were turning up literally 5 minutes before kickoff and looking surprised that they couldn't find anywhere to stand. And it's like, I'm getting there earlier than I've ever got there before now, because if you've got a spot that you like, and we do, the little group that I stand with, we have a certain area we like to stand. You've got to get there early to secure that spot now. You rock up at 5 to 3, you've just got to find a space. It was good. The potential obviously is for it to get bigger. We made the most of the fact that it was a bank holiday. People were off. People came to games that don't normally come. Still
$5,000 though, Cole. We've had bank holiday. I mean, and obviously Bromley are in fantastic form. But I don't know. Something about it just made me think, oh, this is what Bromley could be.
Yeah, it's always been there. It's always been, even back when we were in the Ryman League in the Premier Division, and we played Enfield in the FA Cup. Our average crowd at that point was probably around 350, and all of a sudden, no one can tell me there wasn't nearly 4,000 people in the ground that day. The potential has always been there. There's always been an appetite. If the club's doing well, people will turn up, and then even more so now because we're in the Football League, so our coverage is bigger. But yeah, the potential. I mean, if we do go up, the ground's almost going to be too small again.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I think that the attendance in this game was perfect storm stuff. It was, people not at work, nothing. It's New Year's Day, mate. What are we going to do on New Year's Day? Oh, let's go. Go watch a Bromley. Oh, does Uncle Mark want to come? Yeah, go on, give him a call. And it's just that sort of build it up bigger than it is, but the potential's there. And I think I said in my review of the game is, did those floaters who came to that game see enough to think, this is where I'd like to be on a Saturday afternoon or Tuesday evening from now on, because there's so many fans in and around the Bromley area who are attached themselves to a Premier League club, but have no real attachment to a Premier League club other than their dad was a supporter or whatever. They don't have a season ticket. They barely go to games. Why not support the club on your doorstep? But it helps when that club is playing well, winning games, improving the facilities. The East Stand, obviously, facilities pending, but the stand itself is fantastic. I noticed in this game that the singing lads with the drum moved over to the East Stand, which suggests they're not season ticket holders. That suggests they're going game to game. So that's interesting. It'd be interesting to see if they carry on doing that. I'm in the North Terrace, and there was still, the North Terrace was still its voicey self. People singing, getting involved, even without the drum. And if anything, we couldn't hear the drumming, singing lads, because I think that we could hear them, but not like in. I think if you had more of them over in that corner, that'd be great. So you've got different sides of the ground singing and creating atmosphere, because that's what it should be like, really. So yeah, and I think that the potential's there. The North Terrace is on its last legs. I wouldn't be surprised if a particularly stringent safety officer, I hope they're keeping, Bromley Council, whoever it is, sends people around to check on these things. I hope they're keeping them sweet, because
I'm surprised. Listen, it was on its last legs
20 years ago.
Literally 20 years ago. I was thinking of a game in my head. I think it was Sutton at home. Colin will remember when Eddie Akomoah scored 2 own goals. Yeah. I remember tiptoeing down that. When you're rushing down the front to celebrate, but you have to tiptoe down the steps because you're wary about breaking your leg on the way down. So I always felt it was on its last legs 20 years ago, much less now. But I think there's and hopefully there'll be people from the club possibly watching this, maybe even Robin himself. If I'm not mistaken, there's issues around who owns that car park behind that stand. It's not Nuffields. I think it's on Colin. You may know. I think it might be privately owned by someone else.
Sure, I don't think, because neither Bromley or Nuffield seem to take responsibility for it, which is why it looks like a battlefield.
So I think that because there's a clear demarcation point between where it seems like the club is saying this is our boundary, and then you just have that kind of area behind that stand. Wait, hold on. Am I thinking of the right? I always get my ends of the grounds. Wait, hold on. No, am I right?
North is the car park end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, wait, which car park are we thinking of here? So I've just realised I'm thinking of the wrong end of the ground here. Who owns
the Battle of the Somme in that car park? Is
We'll talk about that. Yeah. Who? Oh, yeah. That anyone who's watching this, please let me know who actually owns that, because I think that the worry, Cole and Pete, and it's gone longer than I wanted it to go, but people will love it all the same. I'm just looking at League One attendances, right?
Yeah.
The team with the lowest average attendance in League One is Burton Albion, right? And they average 4,100. I just want to put this in perspective for people. We don't average that, right? So if Bromley did go up, we would. It bears mention to people we would be the smallest club in that league. And dare I say, and maybe this is a conversation for another day, but at that point, unless we went straight back down, we probably would have outgrown Hayes Lane as a venue. So there's another conversation for another day about what on earth happens if Bromley did go up, didn't immediately get relegated. Now you're almost like on a ticking time bomb as to how long can this ground exist in its current in its current form without either A, trying to expand it further if you even can, or B, thinking about moving the football club. Cole, I'll let you have the last words on that because you're the historian here. Could you ever see a day where Bromley move out of that site?
No, I think we have to look at developing it because realistically, where are you going to go in the borough? But there is the potential to develop it. Obviously, it's just money, isn't it? And you know, as Robin said about developing the North Terrace, he would need money from outside to make that work, to make that happen. So that's the problems. That's the price of success. I guess that's something they'll have to look at. Should it happen?
Yeah, and I suppose it's the same conversation with the West Stand as well, because that is the main stand, and when you do that, that is big boy money. You know, that is serious stuff. And with all the facilities changing facilities, all that, so it's almost the North Stand pales into comparison problem wise. It's just all it takes is one particularly stringent safety inspector, and they could shut that down potentially, because at the moment it's crumbling. When a ball hits the corrugated iron, bits of iron fall down on you.
Yeah,
it's just horrible. So, but it's part of the romance of the club. It's part of the old. You know, I've been standing there for God knows how long, and it's part of the romance of it. So, it'd be a shame to see it go, but it needs to, you know, be part of the conversation. But you've seen how long it took them to get the East Stand up, and the delays, and so it's a, you know, so they need to start thinking about it now.
It ain't easy. When was Glen Beverley opened again, Cole? Was it 2015?
15, yeah.
So Glen Beverley was about 10 years ago. East Stand this year.
Yeah.
So you're looking at what, even if Robin could pull together money, and then you'd have to go through the rigmarole again of like half-season tickets, moving everyone. Like, who would want to be Robin Stanton Gleaves?
Yeah, it's a lot, mate, you know. Yeah.
Right. Listen, people. We've neared. That's probably been one of what this thing is. If I ever get round to, I'll say every episode. One day, people, we will get round to. You know what? Actually, let's commit to it. Right. Let me try and get Colin, Pete. Let me try and get them to commit to something. Right, gents. We are going to.
You're trying not to say once a week, aren't you?
we are going to Sunday the 18th after we've played Chesterfield. What do you two say? So by then we would have had 2 more games. Let's trial it. Let's reconvene again in about 2 weeks, and let's see what happens if we actually try and do this regularly.
We'll do it. Join us then.
Right, people, that's been from Bromley with Love. I've been Mashal St. Patrick Hewitt. Cole's been Cole. Pete has been Pete. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thank you to everyone who's been engaging with watching the stuff on YouTube, by the way, The Verdict, Andy's interviews, etc. We'll try to make these deep dives fairly regular, particularly as Bromley are on the course of yet more history. So we shall see, people. Thank you as ever, and see you all very, very soon. We'll be right back.